Hey there, I'm Plus Frames, and welcome to the 7th episode of a Mortal Kombat podcast, which is an unofficial podcast for the MK fanatic. This is my first episode after the MK11 community reveal, and I just have to say that I am so goddamn hyped for this game. I was really excited leading up to it, and I was worried that that excitement would lead to disappointment, but honestly, NRS and Warner Brothers absolutely delivered with this event. It was awesome to see the effort that they put into the event itself, and the love that they gave back to the community. But it's like absolutely clear that they've been putting a lot of love into this game, and I'm just so very excited for it. Honestly, I can't even be bothered to boot up MKX because the game just looks so fucking sick, and it also looks pretty different from MKX, so I'm not even really motivated to play it. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do until April 23rd. But anyways, this episode has been kind of a funny one for me. I was so hyped from the reveal that I was basically consuming all of the content I could from NRS and anyone who went to the event and was able to capture some videos from the demo stations and stuff like that. And I've really just been reading everything, every interview, everything I could, kind of combining all of the information into my mind and thinking it through. And despite what I said I was going to do in my last episode, I was going to break everything down, put it all together in one source, and then discuss it all. But honestly, while kind of preparing and putting my notes together, I kept just watching more of these videos. And I got to the point where I feel like everyone knows pretty much everything anyway. You probably know what the crushing and fatal blow mechanics are. I mean, honestly, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you're just also getting MK11 information from other sources because you're just so hyped for it. You're interested in any piece of info you can get, like me. So me breaking through everything is not really just kind of a waste of my time, but I think it would be a waste of yours and it would be boring for you. And that's not what I want, so I'm not going to waste, too much time, summarizing everything. I also don't necessarily want to fill my episode with information taken from other sources and play it off as my own. Even if I give them credit, I feel bad for it. In my last episode, I was talking about theories about Shao Kahn, and I mentioned stuff that Tabmok99 mentioned in one of his videos. And while he had a lot of great information that had, a lot more information than the little point that I shared, I felt like, I somewhat detracted from his video, made his video somewhat redundant. I honestly felt guilty. I think Tabmok99 is an awesome person. He's a great person in the MK community. And there's a lot of us, I think, great people in the MK community. And, I'd hate to feel like I'm kind of taking bread out of someone's mouth, so to speak. But anyway, so what I'm going to talk about for this episode is I'm just going to talk about my opinions regarding certain modes or mechanics or roster leaks or whatever that I feel is worth discussing. Saying Baraka looks awesome in this game isn't worth saying because everyone fucking knows it, so there's no point in saying it. So before I get into my opinions and stuff though, I do just want to shout out some of the content creators that I've, been watching and getting some information from that helped me kind of base some of my opinions. Huge shout outs to PND Ketchup and Mustard, Ultra David, Super, L.I. Joe, MK Online, and to an extension Tabmok99 as well, and Justin Wong. I know there's other people that covered the event as well, but these are really the videos that I've seen so far. Maybe they were the ones that popped up on my timeline or what have you. But they all just got so much awesome footage. I'm sure others did too, but again, these are the ones that I saw. And you really just need to check out their videos and subscribe if you haven't already. I watched maybe one or two videos from some of these people, some maybe more than others, but all of them have seemingly put multiple videos out there. And honestly, everything I see is awesome and just makes me more hyped for the game. So if you're interested in, more information like I am, please check them out. Regarding my thoughts, I'm going to start with the character roster. So obviously Baraka, Geras, Raiden, Scorpion, Scarlet, Sonya, and Sub-Zero were all playable at the demo. During the stream, there were other videos showed for models such as Cassie, Katana, Kung Lao, and Liu Kang. And they also teased Cabal that he will be the character revealed on the combat cast on January 30th. And I think it's safe to say that all of these characters will be playable. And then during the live event where people were at the demo stations, we started seeing images from various in-game menus getting uploaded, and a photo of Johnny Cage doing a fatality on an MK11 Sub-Zero got leaked. Out of all of these characters shown, I think it's fairly safe to assume that Johnny Cage and Kano will be in MK11, but I wouldn't put too much weight into the others, and here's why. There's one image that looks like a classic MK2 human smoke, and while it's like as clear as day that it looks like smoke, there are also a bunch of ninjas that look just like him, like generic, I guess, Lin Kuei ninjas, that were in the background of the MK9 cinematic story. There were like a few of them. So it could really just be, a generic ninja. And the supposed smoke, from what I could see, again, I'm going based off of like screenshots that were uploaded on YouTube and stuff like this, so it's maybe not the best picture quality, but I haven't seen any kind of smoke billowing around him. It just seems like a black and gray ninja standing there. So that's part of the reason why I'm saying this. Also, NRS loves to tease and troll, and honestly, I wouldn't put it past them to just put teases and stuff like this in here to make us think they're going to go one way and then, go a completely different way. Then, on one of the towers inside the Towers of Time selection screen, there's a logo with a ninja that looks like it could and likely be Noob Saibot, but who knows? It could just be a silhouette of a ninja. He could be a non-playable character, something like that. We just don't know at this point, and I don't think it's enough to go on. Then there's another main menu option with an image that looks like it could be the back of Rain for kind of the Conquer mode. I'll discuss that in a bit, but honestly, it doesn't seem to me like this could not be someone else either. Maybe someone new. I don't know. I mean, again, the image I saw at least, and I'm basing this on, wasn't totally clear, and it definitely suggested Rain, but I don't think it's not like a clear, like that's definitely Rain to me anyway. Now, Sonic Fox did list Rain as his MK11 main for the exhibition matches, but honestly, I think NRS just put down whatever they said. So while I would love Rain to be playable, I don't think we should put too much stock into it. Tweety also listed Jade as his MK11 main, but again, I don't think that matters much. Now, NRS does seem to be trying to focus on bringing fan favorites into this game, and of course, all of these are definitely fan favorite characters. But we'll just have to see. I just don't think we should necessarily expect, these last couple of characters I mentioned to be in this game and get our hopes up if they're not. Now, the custom variation system is very exciting, and I really like what we see so far. You can choose between a plethora of skins, you can choose gear, you can augment the gear if you want to, and maybe depending on the mode, and you can also select different moves and abilities. Now, I did read in an interview with Ed Boon where he said that the game will come with 3 default variations, like they did in MKX, and these variations were not the ones that we saw in the reveal. Those were just kind of put together to show how the custom variation system works. But that we'll get these 3 default ones, and you could build your variations on top of that. Now, from what I've read in an interview with someone from NRS, all of these special moves are going to be available the second you boot up the game for the very first time, which is awesome. That was honestly probably my biggest concern, or one of them. And that each character also has their own default special moves. Like Ultra David mentioned that Sub-Zero will always have his Ice Ball or Slide in any of his custom variations, but then you select the custom move that you kind of add on top of that. Now, each of the special moves take up 1 to 3 slots, depending on their strength, and you only have 3 slots to work with. So you could choose a really powerful move to be on top of, your 2 or whatever default moves, but then that's it. You can't choose any of the other abilities. So that's how NRS is kind of balancing it for this game. And knowing that, and knowing that you can get these special moves right out of the gate, I know previously I was really concerned about letting these custom variations into ranked matches as well as tournaments. But honestly, now that I know these kind of details, I'm actually okay with it. I should have honestly just trusted NRS from the get-go. But I am okay with it. The only concerns I would have is that I think that the gear augmentations should absolutely be disabled in tournament and ranked modes. And there needs to be some way to know what custom moves this custom variation has, what moves your opponent equipped. I don't know if during the loading screen there could be like kind of like a versus like head-to-head screen like we saw in some of the older games. And then underneath, they could show either just the variation that was selected and maybe listed if it was like a stock one, list like kind of its features. Or if it's a custom one, show you the additional, custom moves that were selected. Because I really like how much you can do to make each character look different and look exactly how you want for the most part. I mean, there's just so many different skins and gears you can choose. And I also like that you can make the character play closer to how you want them to play. I mean, the variation system in X did a very good job of that. But there were still some times where I was like, I'd rather, not have this feature but have this instead or something like that. I mean, now you can really nail it down to your preference. I just think that this is a really cool and honestly groundbreaking feature that I think it would be a shame now not to allow in tournaments and ranked mode. Again, despite all of what I said before. Now, there's definitely concern about like labbing stuff, but if all of these moves are available to everyone the second they boot up the game, it's not hard for them to see a variation that's using a certain move and just create that variation themselves and take that character into training mode and lab against that move. I really don't see it as a big deal. It's honestly, if you have a roster of, say, 25 characters or a roster of 75 characters, you probably have to do more labbing with the larger roster. So I'm not really concerned about that at all. And honestly, I think that the different variety that this offers will add a lot of longevity to the game. I think this is going to be a game where people are going to be finding out techniques and punishes and understanding the meta for honestly like years to come. I don't think this is a simple, straightforward game. I think this is a very complex one. And I do think that this custom variation system adds to that in a positive way. The only real concern I have for the custom variation, especially in tournaments, is the time that it could take to create these. If before every set, like while the stream is happening, someone's creating their custom variation when they come up to the console for the first time, or maybe they get, maybe they lose and then they want to modify their custom variation or even just go to another character and create another custom variation, that could honestly, it would make tournaments horrible to watch. Like the matches themselves would be awesome, but it seems like you may only see a couple of matches an hour or something like that, especially because it seems like one person can customize their variation at a time. I mean, it just seems like, it would take forever. And honestly, I think viewership would decline because of it. But again, it would be just such a shame to not see all the cool stuff you can do and see the, the different ways that these characters look. Also, because of the way the skin and gear reward system is built, which is by beating some of the towers in the Towers of Time mode, I'll get into that a little bit later, it would honestly be a shame to not put so much work into building and earning all of this stuff and then just not be able to use it at all when you play online or in tournaments. The only way I could see this being handled, other than maybe some kind of a crazy way where you upload your custom variation to a server and then the TO downloads it into the system or something like that. I have no idea. But really the only way I could see it working logistically other than something like that, which I don't think would work logistically, is by allowing tournament entrants to create only one custom variation and create it on the console before the tournament starts. Like maybe everyone has to come in a couple hours earlier to allow basically players to just create their custom variations. Hopefully NRS could give them a thing where all of the skins and all of the gear is accessible for them to do that without having the TO having to grind their ass off to earn everything. And then once this tournament starts, they can only use their own custom variation, or they could use any stock variation within the game, but they cannot go back to the custom variation menu at all once a tournament starts. But of course, TOs would have to be okay with this. Well, it seems like there would be a lot of extra coordinating involved, but I just think it would be really cool for the tournament scene. I think it would bring more people out. I think more kind of casual people that grinded their ass off to get these different gears and build their variations. They're probably spending more time earning that stuff than playing, the stock variations through ranked and modes like that and stuff. So if you were to allow this stuff, I think that you would entice them to play ranked mode more, as well as tournaments and stuff, and at least try them. And I think that you would get more attendees because of that. Now, regarding the graphics, honestly, I think this game looks amazing. It is a lot brighter than MKX, and while it's not as colorful as MK9, I actually really like how it's looking right now. It looks really realistic. MK9, because of how colorful it was, it looked kind of cartoony to me. The animations definitely were part of that as well. But I just think MK11 looks really cool. It looks really realistic, and I think it's pretty much as bright and colorful as you could make it before you start losing that realism. I do like really all of the redesigns for all of the characters, and I just love how all of the characters look. For the most part, I do hate to be that guy, and I know NRS gets a lot of flack for this, and sometimes I think it's a little undeserving. But I do think that Sonya's and Cassie's faces in particular, I think that they need to be a little bit polished up. It's not, a female or a male thing. I think Scarlet and Chronica look awesome. I just, Sonya's and Cassie's faces don't really look, I don't know if it's not that they look natural to me. They just don't look right to me. I mean, every time I was watching the reveal and one of their faces came up, it was honestly something that took my attention out of the game and made me go, that doesn't, that could look better. I'm not bashing NRS for it. I think it's more constructive criticism. As a fan, that was something that kind of took me out of the game. And I don't think that that's what NRS or anybody wants. So I just think they should be polished up a bit. It is a while, of course, before the game is out. There's definitely time to polish things. As well as I heard some rumors that this build that was at the demo is anywhere from several weeks old to being a build that was like back from October. So they could have already polished these things up already. It's just, what we saw at the build that was there. Regarding the new meter system, where there are the independent meters for offense and defense, I think that's really smart. I hated that they shared the same resources before. I think it's honestly a brilliant idea that should be a staple moving forward. I also really like the regeneration system of the meters, and I know some people aren't a fan of this because, it's definitely not common. But according to Paulo Garcia, who is an advanced designer for MK11, they rebuild at a rate that is dependent on the move you did. The stronger the move, the slower it would take this to build, which is really cool. I was worried that they would all rebuild at kind of the same rate, and people would start abusing powerful amplified moves and things like that. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like NRS has thought that through. Also, I do like that they regenerate because then you don't have to be on the offensive or like taking chip damage or whiffing specials or something like this to build your meter. You could just be playing footsies and trying to, bait out whiff punishes and stuff like that as your meter builds. And then, you catch someone and buffer it into a special or something like that. I think that's really cool and I like it. I have seen some people complain about how you can no longer kind of do the EX moves or, meter burn specials as you could before, where you just press a single button, the block button. I honestly like that now you kind of amplify them by pressing, a new unique combination after you do the special move. And that this unique combination is kind of specific to that move. I actually like this a lot, as it means it takes more time to learn the characters. In MKX, I felt like once I learned one or two characters fairly well, I could just random select a character and, spend maybe 20 minutes with them and really have a really good understanding of how they play and play them at a level that wasn't too much lower than the characters that I have put more time into. So now I think, it'll take you more time to learn that character. I think in tournaments and stuff like that, we'll see people that are more likely just maining one or two characters for high level play. And, you're not going to be able to just counterpick the whole roster. I think we're going to see people that are more character specialists. And that's something I really like seeing. That's something that I think is really cool. I like seeing where someone is in a matchup where they have a disadvantage, but figuring out how they can deal with that disadvantage and end up winning the match. Those are some of my favorite matches. So I actually like this feature. Now, I know that some high-level tournament competitors may not like it because of this. It's maybe not so easy to just counterpick, but I think it's really cool, and actually I just think it's better for the tournament scene overall. Also, because you input a specific command after each special move, there is the possibility, now this is pure speculation, NRS hasn't said anything about this, and I'm just thinking of things with probably too high hopes, but maybe there's a possibility that you can actually follow up with a different amplified move. So maybe you do up 2 to do one version and up 3 to do another version, and maybe you can kind of create mix-ups based on this. Now, I wouldn't want this to be a heavy feature that every character can do, but I think for certain characters like Sonya, I think it could be actually kind of suiting for her. And other characters that maybe don't have weapons, that are more meant to be rushed down, mix-up heavy characters. I have seen a lot of negative comments about how slow the game looks, but honestly, I think a lot of that is based off of what we saw during the exhibition matches, and people need to realize that for the most part, these players only had like 45 minutes or an hour or something to prepare and learn like the game and their characters and prepare for a high-level match. So you're not going to see high-level stuff. It's not going to be a fast-paced back-and-forth game where counters to everything and stuff like this. I think people just need to relax about that. I saw a video that Ketchup and Mustard posted where they had head-to-head matches, and they had a lot more time than the competitors did. I think, when they recorded these, they had several hours at least under their belts, and we all know that they can pick up these games pretty quickly. Honestly, if you watch their set, this is not a slow-paced game at all, and it is very intricate, and there's a lot of things going on. I just think that people are rushing to judgment on this one. Now, yes, running has been removed, and it doesn't seem like the wave dashing that was possible in MK9, with the block cancels, is possible here. There's a lot more recovery, and dashing is kind of slowed down as a whole. But I really like that they boosted up the general walk speed to kind of combat that. I know NRS purposely slowed down the dashing to make us concentrate more on walking, which, I think is a good design choice. I miss that about fighting games. I feel like, walking is really just to bait out something now, whereas if you're attacking, you're not just casually walking into someone's face. And I like that. It reminds me of older games. Also, I really like the crushing and fatal blow mechanics that they've introduced. I think the fatal blow mechanic works great as a comeback tool, but I also like that you have to be smart with it. If you connect with it, but you still lose the round, you basically wasted that resources for the whole game. And I think that's really cool. Now, the combo options do seem to have been limited a bit from MKX. The combos look a little bit shorter and maybe do less damage overall, like the regular combos, I should say. And juggles aren't as strong, and it doesn't seem like there's as many mix-up strings that lead to big damage combos. And while I absolutely love the open and free kind of combo system of MKX, and it was really one of my favorite things of the game as far as combat goes, I really like the change for this game, as it will cause you to incorporate these crushing and fatal blows in your combos to get as much damage as you can, or to extend them. Deciding when to use these in your combos or punishes at the right time, or even in the right round, I think will become a huge part of the meta. Also, if you do one that extends the combo, but then you drop the combo right afterwards, you can't use that crushing blow again. You had really that one chance in this whole game to do that combo, and you dropped it. I think that's really cool. I think this game is a little bit technically harder than some of the other MK games before it, at least for high-level play. So I'm really interested to see how this kind of stuff will play out in the tournament. Now, on the defensive side of things, there's also a flawless block mechanic, which I am very happy about. I love the idea of tapping it at the exact right time and being able to punish an otherwise safe attack. Now, there's a little uncertainty regarding how it handles chip damage, but I'm going to clear that up. So Steve Brownback or 16-bit who was the NRS commentator in the LA stream who works for NRS, was saying that it does do significantly less chip damage, but that it is still there. Yet, many of the videos I've seen from people who went to the event and recorded clips from the demo stations and stuff say that it prevents chip damage altogether. Now, I spent some time looking at the health bar to see if I could see it drop, and sometimes it felt like I saw it drop a tiny, tiny sliver, and other times I couldn't see it at all. But then I remembered that the health bar shows you numbers. It shows you values of what your remaining health is. So with this information, I watched back to some of these clips, and you can indeed see that when a flawless block is performed, there's like 1 or 2 points, like out of the 1,000, that get taken away when you perform a flawless block. Now, it seems like such a tiny difference, but this difference is huge when it comes to chip deaths. And I'm sure that that's the reason why this is in here. This flawless block mechanic will not stop you from dying. Now, regarding the weapons, there is no weapon stance feature, as I was kind of speculating before. Instead, weapons are really just part of most characters' normal attacks, which I thought was likely as well. But I'm overall happy with this. I honestly don't like having too many things to think about, and with the crushing blows and all of this stuff, I feel like there's a lot of stuff to kind of keep track of, and the 2 meters, so I'm actually kind of glad that they didn't add this. I just think it would make the game way too confusing. I also have a slight concern that some of the exhibition competitors, like Sonic Fox, have raised, and that's that the anti-airs in this game seem really weak and don't seem to have priority over the jumping attacks. This is a pretty huge deal for this game, especially if that's true, because it seems like NRS really tried to make this game to be footsie and kind of neutral heavy. But if you can just bypass neutral and jump in for free, and it being hard to get anti-aired, that's a pretty big problem. However, these guys also just had so little time playing the game. Maybe they didn't know what was the best anti-air for their character. Maybe they didn't get the timing right. Maybe this is something that NRS has already corrected in more recent builds. But I do hope it gets fixed. I don't know if they can reduce the hitbox of the jumping attack or something like that. But I do think, especially in this game, that anti-airs need to have priority over jumping attacks. But either way, honestly, the gameplay looks awesome. I really like fighting games that are aimed towards a more kind of zoning and whiff punish and overall neutral heavy type of play style. So I'm really excited for this. It honestly looks like a modern take on MK2. And honestly, that's just really cool. I just cannot wait for this goddamn game to come out. It seems like April is so far away. But aside from the gameplay stuff, we also get to see some of the main menu features from people who went to the demo stations. The 2 most exciting ones to me is that there's a sub-menu for the single-player modes, which for some reason is called Conquer. And within this sub-menu, there's a mystery mode alongside the cinematic story and, the Times of Tower and the classic towers. There's this mystery mode. Also, in the fight sub-menu, there's another mystery mode, and when you highlight it, it shows an image that is very reminiscent of the background to the Warrior Shrine in MK1, and it seems to pan to a statue of Goro, who was at the center of this stage in MK1. These 2 possible modes have me very excited. Obviously, I have no idea what the modes are, but I have some crazy ideas running through my head as to what they could be. You probably do too. But at the same time, I can't imagine them packing much more into this game than they already have. So I'm trying to dial back my hopes to something a little bit more realistic. But I'm still very excited to see what these are. Knowing NRS though, it does seem like it is something that is going to kind of blow us away. Because if it was something small, I don't think that they would have the question marks. I think they would just show what it was. Or maybe just not include it at all. They're trying to tease us here. They're trying to get us excited. And I don't think it would be beneficial to them to build up a game like this and show off these modes and then just be like, oh, this is where you can view the credits. I don't think that that's happening. Now, regarding the Towers of Time, we also get some more information about those. So I was a little bit wrong. I was speculating maybe they're different towers based on different timelines, but they are indeed just like the challenge towers that we saw in the living towers in MKX that kind of rotate daily and stuff like that. Beating these towers is what grants you skins, gear augments, as well as like completely different intro and victory animations for your characters, for your custom variations. The cool thing about this, though, is that there's like a dozen of them. They went into this menu, and there was probably even more than, there's maybe like 20 different of these towers that you could choose. And before you even select the tower, it seems to show you the rewards that you will collect. It will show you the skin that you will earn, the piece of gear that you will earn. And that's just awesome. Paulo Garcia also mentioned that some of the towers have character-specific rewards, so you don't have to waste your time with RNG boxes or working to unlock stuff that you don't want to. Now, regarding the multiplayer modes, we don't really know much yet. I'm assuming there will be an online ranked mode, and there was actually mention of an area for beginner players to play, but we don't have much details on that at this point. I'm still crossing my fingers for a proper ranked system with multiple tiers that you can reach and kind of progress through, as you get better and beat harder opponents and stuff like that. But we'll just have to see. I mean, that's one feature I think that will keep many people interested in this game for a long time, especially online, and it will get, I think, more people involved trying to maybe go to tournaments and stuff. And I think that this is something that MK certainly needs. We didn't see a crypt, but you do collect coins, so I'm assuming it's coming back. You can also earn souls and hearts, which seem to have more value than coins. I don't know if maybe they're just a different take on like the easy fatalities and stuff. We have no idea what they're for. One thing Paulo Garcia does say is that in-game currency will be used to buy stuff in the game, but you can use real money to buy characters or skins or gear if you want to. He says that they try to make this stuff as separate from gameplay as much as they can, so it's not a pay to win or pay to progress, which is great, and I think very fair. Now that's about all I wanted to discuss. There is a combat cast on the 30th where they'll reveal Cabal, likely, and maybe a few other details. Also, it's been announced that the beta will be on March 28th. I did have a quick look back at the GameFAQs roster leak, and that is totally debunked. They don't even mention Scarlet on that at all. Clearly, she's in this game, so I don't think that leak's true. I think it's completely debunked, and I'm not going to talk about it again. Other than that, that's really it. I'm going to record another episode right after this one, which will be kind of a primer for beginners to fighting games who are interested in getting into MK11. It won't have any news or anything like that, and really won't be specific to Mortal Kombat at all. And just to be clear, I'm not a high-level player, and I really don't pretend to be. The next episode is literally just for beginners, and I'm going to try to provide a decent mindset to have when you're just starting. If you're an intermediate player, there's likely nothing you'll gain from this episode, so if you want to check it out, I'd appreciate it, but don't expect it to up your game. However, I will shout out some YouTubers and resources that I think will be able to help you reach that higher step. Anyways, that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Please feel free to share this episode or subscribe to this podcast. And if you want to shoot me a message on Twitter at @plusframes_, and let me know if you have any feedback or opinions regarding anything I said, I'd really appreciate it. Alright, well, take care. See ya.